We're live.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. We're on the air. Okay, so here's the thing. We have a fun show tonight. This is episode number 177, and it's called Photography from a Younger Perspective. And the younger perspective is Phil. Hey, Phil. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. No, I'm just kidding. We've got our buddy Nick on the show tonight. Nick, good day to you, my friend.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Brian, for having me on the show. Really do appreciate it.
You're welcome. This is your
Looking forward to having
idea.
a great night. Yes, well, couldn't have done it without the help of you.
Well, hey. All right, so the deal is I ran a photography camp for the McMichael Art Gallery, and this little fellow over here was one of the students in there, as well as another member of our community, Émile Constantin, who is also submitting quite a few things for our photo challenges these days and contributing in the Daytripper community on Google+, which I think is so cool, because you guys are both youngsters. I don't want to say kids, because you're definitely not a kid, or else I wouldn't have you on the show. Nick, you're 15 years old. Why do you like photography? Like, what's the deal?
Okay, so that's
Okay, now this is still the
question.
intro of the show. You don't need to get into the whole answer, but just like a synopsis.
Oh, I just like capturing moments, and like that's about it. It's just something to keep with you. That's not a physical thing. It's just a memory of like the entire event, whatever's happened.
That's brilliant. You're freezing your moment. You're freezing that important second in time.
Yes.
We're going to get into a lot more about what you enjoy about photography and how you started and so on and so forth. But I got to explain to everybody how this all happened, what this whole thing happened for the show. So Nick and Emile and a couple of the other folks from that session have kept in touch, and it's really great to see. And all of a sudden I get an email from him, and I'll read this word for word. He says, "Hello, Brian. How are you? I had this crazy idea I wanted to pitch to you. I understand that sometimes there are guests on the show for various reasons. The crazy idea I had is to have an episode with a guest, such as a young photographer, kind of like me. It would be focused on how teaching young photographers how to use a camera such as a DSLR and not an iPhone camera." I guess you meant to say would be a good idea or something like that there. This is just an extreme idea, so please keep that in mind. And just one more thing, if you did decide to have someone like me as a guest on the show, I could vouch for you on how great of a teacher you are. Knowledge. Give me some feedback on this idea. Again, this is just a crazy idea I had, so please be completely truthful in what you think. Well, I'll tell you what I think. How do you like being on the show so far, Nick?
This is amazing.
Pretty cool.
What better could you get?
Hey, you know, I'm really happy that you gave me that email. That it's a great idea, and I think that we've done a lot of shows from the perspectives of all kinds of different creative people and so on, but we've never really had somebody like yourself on the show to give us a view and maybe inspire other kids to get out there and have a good time. I said kids. I said it. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's a habit. You're gonna cry. I'm sorry.
Worries, no
All right,
worries.
cool. Okay, so that's my intent. I want to make this an inspirational show so everybody can see that it doesn't matter what age you are. Shelly's mother actually mentioned to me earlier today, my wife, Shelly, she was like, it's really great that you have Nick on the show tonight because it doesn't matter what age you are, whether you're older or younger or middle age or whatever. I think photography is one of those things that you can get into pretty much at any time. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Phil, you teach for the Henry's Learning Lab.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any kind of specific age group coming into the classes, or is it pretty diverse?
It's usually pretty diverse. I will say it does tend to be, I would say people that are probably 30 and up as the regulars. I'd say 30 to probably about 55 are kind of the normal people that would come to something like that. But there are the odd times, and I like the odd times because that means there are people outside of the norm that are getting into things. There's sometimes people that are quite young, and on the other side of things, there's sometimes people that are up in their late 70s, early 80s who are taking courses and trying to get into learning something new. So, a little bit of both, but I'd say it does tend to be a little bit more of a medium range on the age demographic.
Well, I'm happy that anybody can do it, and you see all the time, like Phil says, you get this middle-age group, and I think the reason why we'd see those in the classes is because they're the ones spending the money, right? They'll just go out and you buy the School of Imaging or the Henry's Learning Lab courses or whatever. But not everybody has that kind of money, and when you're younger and you're not making your own income yet, there's got to be other ways to get this inspiration. So we're going to talk about some of that today. Before we do that, though, what's this? I've got a couple things to note here. So one of the things I think we need to talk about is the younger generation. Where am I going with this? The world needs great kids. That's where I'm going with this. Do we need great kids? And you're a great kid, Nick. And I think photography inspires people to look at the world differently and inspires you to open your eyes a little bit more. And I think that's the people who don't have that outlet that might be the most difficult or have the most trouble in life. I don't know. What do you think of that thought there, Nick?
Well,
are you a happy, well-adjusted kid?
Yes, for sure.
Of course. For sure.
Just having the opportunity to actually be part of photography and being able to learn is amazing. It's amazing.
Well, you have a great outlook on it, and one of the reasons I was so happy to have you on the show is because I know just through the short time that we were together, those 2 days doing the photography camp, you had a passion for it, you had a real verve for it, and I don't want that to end. I want you to keep on growing. I want you to keep on doing more things.
For sure, yeah.
I'm really happy that you're doing things with the community. You've submitted photos for our photo challenges, and you're going to continue on with that. Before we get into the show and we get into our sponsors and to remind everybody about being in the community and so on, I wanted to inspire you with one other really cool thing. There's this thing how now there's a 360-degree view of Mars that was taken with the Curiosity Mars rover. Have you guys had a chance to see that yet?
I checked it out.
It is the coolest thing. See if I can do a screen share here and pull this up. Here we are. So look it up, 360-degree view of Mars. And I don't know if you're like me, Nick, but when I was your age, I started the astronomy club in my high school, and I just loved, I absolutely loved space. And I never would have thought ever that we'd be able to see a 360-degree view of Mars. And here I am clicking a few buttons, and boom, there it is.
It's pretty insane.
Isn't it
Not
awesome?
gonna lie.
You can see the mountains in the distance, and this is something I encourage everybody to look at. It's kind of choppy when you see it in the show, but if you check this out yourself, it's pretty impressive. And right down here, there's a little icon. I don't know if you can see this little mask thing.
Like Google Cardboard, yes.
Yes, Google Cardboard. So it's virtual reality.
Yeah,
You put this on, and you put it on cardboard, and it splits the image like you see here. And this is a virtual reality setup now. So you can be wearing these goggles and literally looking around and seeing exactly what Nick is doing there. Yeah, you do that well. Mm-hmm. Keep it up. There you go. Anyway, well done. Anyway, I really wanted to share this because it's the coolest thing I've seen in a long time, and it really inspired me when I was younger. Looking into things for space and so on, and I don't know, maybe I thought that would not impress, but open the eyes of some other people who are watching the show. It's a really cool thing. And sorry, you gonna say something?
It's actually really cool, and the fact it's made up of many, many, many pictures means it has a ton of resolution, so you can zoom in a ton and get really, really fine details on something that is hundreds of thousands of kilometers away.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it's funny, you said many, many, many different pictures that it's made up of, because the next thing I wanted to quickly share before we get into other stuff is a photographer named Stephen Wilkes. He does this thing called The Passing of Time, and he did a series of photos that he goes to places all over the world, very iconic places, and he sits himself up in a cherry picker, really up high, and he does pictures throughout the entire day. He'll literally sit up there for up to 24 hours in a day and take pictures of everything that goes on and then merges them together into a day-to-night photo. If you get an opportunity, this is something else that's super impressive. I don't want to show this video per se, but some of his photos. Look it up, Stephen Wilkes, Wilkes, and look up one specifically. It's the Stephen Wilkes Africa photo, day to night.
Africa?
I'm going to see if I can pull this up quickly here. I thought I had it, but apparently I didn't. Here we go. This is just so cool. All right, I'm going to do a screen share here and show you, because you have to see this to believe it. So I do encourage you to look this up on your own computers if you're watching right now.
Oh, man.
Because you're not really going to get the good feel of it just looking at it here. But this is literally in one image, everything that happened in this spot in that time period that he was sitting there in this whatever blind taking these photos. He said in his commentary that it was almost like Noah's Ark. There were so many animals that came to this watering hole. Apparently it was a very dry spell in Africa, and he sat up next to a watering hole that he saw a few animals going to, and throughout the day, zebras and elephants and herds of elephants and wildebeests and you name it, every animal, even though they're animals that usually kill each other, were grazing and drinking in the water peacefully. There was no fighting throughout the entire time he was there, and it was just a marvel that he said that there was no fighting, even though these are all natural predators of each other. So they realized that, you know, when you're in the hardest possible times, you have to accept what's going on around you. You can't fight all the time, and I think that really holds true to what's going on right now in Orlando with all the shooting down there in Orlando. I mean, there's been some crazy things that have happened this week, and we're not going to dwell on it too much in this conversation, but come on, guys, look at what's going on out there. You have all these animals in Africa who are coexisting, and you can't even coexist in a first world country. It's just disgusting to me. But anyway, this is. What do you think about that from a younger perspective? Like, I was around. I'm turning 45 soon. Okay, so I'm a little older than you. I've been around for a long time before 9/11, before all of these terrorist things. From your perspective, how does the world seem to you?
So I don't want to sound like a common Woodbridge kid or common kid, but I am not really. I don't really pay attention to much of the crazy stuff going on. I kind of just tend to block myself out and
Good for you.
just stay on my own path, sort of thing.
Brilliant. That's all you can do.
Things like Donald Trump, though, then I got involved and I started talking about that, but that's just to raise awareness.
Hang on a second. We've had some comments about Donald Trump here on the show. What are you thinking? What do you have to say about that?
I mean, Canada's pretty populated, but I don't think we need that much more population with all the people that would want to come here. Now, we don't...
So what you're saying is if Donald Trump was in the United States, everybody would want to be Canadian?
Yeah, there's no way you can do it.
Cool. I'm good with that. All right, we'll move past it.
Actually, I do want to dwell on Trump for a second.
Do it.
There's a newspaper, a fake newspaper called The Onion. And they post satire and that kind of stuff. And they had a post today that said the UN was issuing a warning saying that the world was potentially 7 months away from a nuclear-capable Trump.
Nick's making a face like, okay, so basically 7 months from now is the elections, and if Trump wins, he is now nuclear.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, less than 7 months away. Because it's October, isn't it?
Scary.
Well, we'll see what happens.
It's not going to happen. But anyway, I digress.
Enough politics.
Enough politics.
You mentioned it was a drought in Africa, eh?
Yeah.
I think someone needs to bless the rains down in Africa.
Oh, look at that.
Are we gonna do this now?
We're gonna break out in song now. It is one of the songs I like, but anyway, we'll move past it. Okay, so before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching right now, please join the Daytripper Photo community on Google+. Involve yourself in the photo challenges we issue. Get involved in everything we've got going on. There's a lot of people that are having a great time, learning a lot of things, and getting a lot out of it. So if you want to be one of those folks, check it out, Daytripper Photo over on Google+. And it's a private group, so we'll have to approve you. We will do that until you earn your way out of the group, which isn't super easy. You have to be a decent person and you'll be fine. But other than that, yeah, you'll be gone. And also, if you think the show is kind of fun, show us some love. Click like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share this with your friends. Let the world know that you're watching our show. And that's about it. One more thing, actually. Very cool thing just happened. I got our shipment from Cotton Carrier, which is really cool because that means that for our newest photo challenge, we're going to have the Cotton Carrier holster piece that you're going to be able to win. And this is how you can keep your camera hooked right on your hip at all times. It just goes on your belt like Velcro, straps around your belt, sits on your side, you hook your camera in there. So we got one of these for each quarter of the photo challenges that we're running, we also have a hand strap that we're going to give away. So you'll be able to have the cotton carrier hand strap. You'll also be able to have one of these hip holsters, which are awesome. I've had this one for about 4 years. The thing looks brand new still. They're beautiful. Love that gear. And of course to Sennheiser, thank you as well. We've got some Sennheiser swag we're going to be handing out for our photo challenges as well. And of course, our good friends over at LensPen, thank you so much for all that you've done for Daytripper and all that you do for everybody's lenses out there. Keep them clean. I went to the air show, as I mentioned earlier, the Base Borden 100th anniversary air show, and had my glasses on. As you can see, you know, I've got the glasses marks there. It's kind of hard. You can't see it because of the screen, but it's okay. It doesn't look that good. So yeah, I mean,
bad from this angle.
Thank you. You know, I'm married. Just take it easy over there. And so yeah, keeping those peeps on hand, I was able to keep my eyeglasses clean, even though it was hot and sweaty and just miserable out there, and everybody with their sunblock except for me because I didn't wear any. I'm stupid. Getting all smeared everywhere. LensPen stuff is great for keeping your stuff clean, so keep it up. We use LensPens the entire time. All the dust in the air and all the grass flying around from the helicopters landing. Yeah, it's good to have big lenses that we were using. Anyway, a lot of fun. Great times at the air show. Have you ever been to an air show, Nick?
I think I've been to one ages ago, but I remember it was really, really cool.
Oh man, when that the F-18 fighter jet came by, I literally almost fell off the bleachers. It just came up so fast, and it was so loud. It was awesome.
Oh, man.
So cool. All right,
Wow.
Let's talk about some other stuff.
Sure.
Let's get into you, Nick. Let's talk about you, my friend.
Okay.
The idea of having a show about photography from a younger perspective is really interesting to me because I haven't been doing this for very long. I've been doing it for about 10 years. And before that, I had no clue about photography. 10 years ago, you were 5. What is it, and how long ago did you get into photography? Like, let's start from the beginning. What age were you when you started being interested in photography?
That's a good question. So, like, just a couple years ago, my family, we got, like, an actual DSLR, just a cheap, whatever, Canon. It was like one of the lower models. We got it with a discount.
Okay.
But ever since
you got to mention that you got it with a discount. That's important stuff.
but when I saw it, I was amazed at like how large it was compared to the old just little point and shoots we had, or like just the basic camcorders. I was so interested to learn how it was like with giant camera. I was like, how does this giant thing take this little picture? Why is this different than the tiny little the point and shoot? Like I had so much interest in it that it's taken me to the point I'm at right now. Really, it's been a journey, as some may say.
Well, no, that's what it always is. It's always a journey. Phil, I mean, you know all about the journey of photography. How long have you been doing this?
I actually don't know. Probably 12 or something years. I started off actually very similar age as you, and tying it back to an earlier idea of starting astronomy clubs, which may or may not have been on the show. I actually started wanting to shoot because of astronomy, and so, you know, it's good to find something you're interested in when you're young. Gives you lots of years to practice and get better and better and better, and then when you get a bit older, you're already past the point of hurdles, and you can just jump straight into shooting.
And there's a progression. Like, we start off with just understanding photography. I know for myself, I was so excited when I was able to take a picture of a squirrel in the backyard. And then now it's like, okay, there's squirrels in the backyard. There's other things to take pictures of. But for me, my journey was, wildlife first, and then I started doing landscape, and then with the Daytripper Photo, I started doing all kinds of stuff, and it just went all over the place. What did you start off shooting? Like, what was it that really caught your fancy? What was the first thing that you grabbed that camera and wanted to do things?
It was actually people. I really liked doing like pictures of people, and just I would always see those giant cameras, those photographers going with the continuous shooting. I thought that was the coolest thing. So like as soon as I got my hands on it, just anybody I would see passing by would take pictures of them. It was just the coolest thing. And they get the action shots with the longer exposures, and people are running through the picture. It just looks really cool.
Awesome.
That was one of the first things. Yeah.
Now, what was it about that day camp? Like, how did you get involved in that camp that we did?
I moved into the neighborhood like a couple months before the actual camp, and they would mail us like a little pamphlet, and my mom was reading through. As soon as she read the digital photography, I was like, you have to sign me up. That same day, I made her go and sign me up. It was just, I knew I wanted to do something with photography, and it seemed like the perfect opportunity. It was just, I wanted to check it out, see what happened, and look where I am now.
Look where you are now. Look, you got your own backdrop behind you. You've got your own umbrellas and lighting and all that on there. Now, do you have any photos that you want to share with us? Any pictures that you want to do a screen share here? Or we haven't really talked about doing the screen share. Is that something that you're comfortable doing?
I'm not sure if I have any on me right now.
Well, what kind of pictures do you find yourself shooting these days then? Because you started off with people.
Yeah.
And that was way back. I mean, what was that? 4 months ago or something, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, a long time ago.
Okay, a long time ago.
So I'm doing a lot of I'm outside a lot more. So I'm doing a lot more, like just like you said, astronomy. I remember during the camp actually, I showed you some pictures of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Those moon shots that I had. I'm trying to get like close-ups of like flowers and stuff and stuff. So just outside things, squirrels, like you said, running across the fence, and just the coolest outside things.
That's awesome. And you got to shoot everything. You gotta try to shoot everything, right? Because the more you do, the more you learn, and the more you understand how settings work and so on. Did the camp help you at all?
Oh man, that was the main my main thing that helped me. That was the only time I actually did a real photography lesson or really learned something other than just like a quick Google search. So it was really helpful.
That's great to hear. It's funny actually how that happened for me, because I wasn't supposed to be teaching that. There was another instructor, and about a week before the session I got a phone call. Would you be able to do this for us? Because the other instructor got a full-time job teaching somewhere else or something. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm happy to. And it just worked out really well. It was a lot of fun meeting you all you guys.
Oh, for sure. It was amazing.
Cool. Now, you're a young guy, but have you ever paid attention to the history of photography? Have you ever researched some of the old school photographers, like Trey Ratcliffe and Joe McNally? No, they're current. I'm talking about way back, like Stieglitz and Ansel Adams and all these guys. Edward Weston.
So I mean, don't get mad, but not really.
Okay.
Not really the history. No, I haven't looked much into that.
Well, that's fair. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that came out before we were even in photography, and my mentors were inspired by these other guys, and it's never a bad idea to look through the history of photographers and see what inspired these other guys to do things. One person we always talk about, Nick, is Ansel Adams. If you want to learn a photographer, if you ever want to study talent and how light is used, Ansel Adams was one of the first photographers of the old American West. He did some great work, a lot of landscapes, Yosemite, and all kinds of great things like that. And his understanding of light is what really inspired, I'd say 60% of some of the photographers today. Would you go that high there, Phil?
I'd say so. He seems to be kind of at least one of the first ones that people seem to look at, and it's kind of got that history of there being the first person to get more than 100,000 for a picture and that kind of stuff, and the fact that he shot most of his things with giant
8x10
full medium format style cameras. It's just amazing to think of.
It's funny, Nick, how you say that it was such a big deal when you saw that big camera going from a point and shoot. An 8x10 camera is literally a camera that uses film that's about that big, the negatives. And it's one of those things where you put the thing over your head and you have a big bellows on the front, and you're carrying around a box like huge box with huge tripod legs, and you have to sit there and do long exposures. And this is a guy who would literally mount that to the top of his car as he drove, as he pulled over to the side and got a photo. Mount this whole big camera on the roof of his car, stand on his car and take pictures. It was.
I couldn't imagine what the things that like this phone can do today. It's just this tiny little thing is a huge thing.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the technology that you were born into. I can't wait to see some of the work that you do in the future with all the technology that's going to be available to you. I mean, now there's post-focus features in cameras and all kinds of really cool stuff. I can't wait to see what you do. Are there any photographers that have inspired you?
As of now, not quite, like, not really. It's more of I have like a diverse view, so I'm not looking specifically at specific photographers. I'm more looking at like different ones. But if I had to pick one, it'd be you.
Well, that's very cool. I'll give you $20 next time I see you.
Sure.
That's pretty cool. No, I'm glad that you've got some inspiration, and it's really great as well that you are a free thinker. I mean, you have your own likes and desires in photography, and you just go to achieve that. That's important.
Yeah.
I think more people should be like that. What do you look forward to when it comes to photography? Like, what things in the world of photography are you hoping that you can get to do?
Oh, okay. This is my all-time goal. This like really far-fetched. I want to go to space and take a picture of the Earth.
It's not that far-fetched.
Well, unless WestJet starts offering flights to the moon, I don't know.
Well, you got a year pass on WestJet or something?
No.
That's pretty cool. You know, you could do anything you want to do. All you have to do is write an email, and next thing you know, you'll be on some sort of spaceship, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But that's pretty cool, though. I mean, that's something you can do. In fact, we did a show before with Andy. Ooh, totally blanking on his name. Blanchard. Andy Blanchard. He was the president of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada in Hamilton. He's got telescopes in Chile that he can use from his what do you call it? His RV. He's in Sault Ste. Marie in his RV, and he's controlling his telescopes that are in Chile and taking pictures of all these planets and all these really great things. You just can't put a limit to what you can do in photography, and if that's what you want to do, you can make it happen. I guarantee you can make it happen.
I'll take that advice.
You seriously, where there's a will, there's a way, my friend. Absolutely. So currently, because you're not going to be in space yet, but where do you take pictures now? I mean, you've already mentioned in your backyard and flowers and things, but have you gone on any photo trips? Have you taken any excursions specifically to make photos with your family?
So like sometimes I go just like to like the forest or something. I'll just go like down a trail and I'll take pictures in there, looking for the coolest things. But mainly I'm around just my backyard. There's a lot of there's a lot of things there, just like little things that if you really look for it, you can really find it.
So true.
Really cool.
That is so true. I don't think any truer words have ever been said, and there's been actual quotes out there that have basically said, if you can't go out in your own backyard and make an award-winning photo, then you should just give up photography. Because there are so many great things. On, I believe it's the 10th of July, we're running a macro photography class with Don Komarechka up at his place in Barrie, and for all of you watching,
in his backyard.
literally in his backyard, exactly. For all of you who play the Don Komarechka shot game, go right ahead. I'll say his name a couple more times. So anyway, this Don is just an amazing photographer, and he calls it the universe at your feet, because there's so much out there just to look down and pay attention to what's going on in a flower, or a water droplet refracting what's behind it on a leaf or on a blade of grass or something. There's so many great things, and I'm happy that you're able to already know that. You don't need to go somewhere special to make really interesting pictures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Phil, what's the last thing you shot?
I shot a headshot today, which wasn't terribly creative. It was more of just a businessy style headshot. But that was...
Headshots are generally, like you say, business kind of things.
Yeah.
is that something that you really enjoy doing, or is this something that you were hired to do?
I was asked to do it, and so I thought I would, give it a shot. But the last thing I actually, purposely went out and purposely shot was it was a super windy day. So down by the lake here, there was I gesture as if I live by the lake. I'm like a little ways away. I do have to drive there.
Right over there.
But down by the lake, there's an old tree with all the roots growing in, and all the soil's eroded out from under the roots. So it was a super wavy day, super windy day. And so the last thing I shot was a long exposure of those roots, so it looked like they were growing out of a cloud and not out of the lake. That's a creative thing I've shot.
And that's the thing, though. I mean, you had to drive there. Obviously, Nick, you're not just going to jump in a car and drive somewhere.
That's why I'm mainly in the backyard.
Right. Hey, that's what sucks about being younger. That's the biggest problem, is you're kind of at other people's mercy sometimes, isn't it?
But when you talk about... Oh, sorry.
What are you saying, Phil?
I say, when you talk about shooting interesting things, you had a good example of something that you could do, and we did talk about it last week before, I don't remember. But you don't have to go places to take really good pictures. You can do it in your house. You can do it by setting up, as you were saying earlier, colorful backgrounds and water droplets and shooting through them to get really unique pictures without actually having to go anywhere. And so...
No, that's a really good point. Everywhere. And I think that's why I like light painting so much. We did a little bit of that with the camp. Have you tried any of that again since we did that?
To be completely honest, light painting I haven't done much of. I've done more of like pictures of stuff. So I haven't tried much with light painting. But,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I've done a couple like outside things where there's lights and I do exposures, but nothing with specific light painting.
And I think one of the cool things that Phil just brought up is how there are so many things you can do without going far. And I think that's something that's important when you don't have transportation or you don't have the ability to, go to these really great places like Iceland or, Alaska and all these really great things that we want to do. I mean, I think everybody wants to do that. One of the things Phil just kind of mentioned, and I'm going to do a screen share here from the session that we did this past Sunday at the Loft. This is a shot of water drop refractions that I made. Joseph Leduc had his masterclass for Daytripper, and it's just really simple. I mean, it's something that Joe actually made the colored piece of paper with rainbow pattern on it, and he printed it off. He did it in Photoshop and printed an 8x10. You stick that on the ground, you have a couple apple boxes beside it, you put a piece of glass on top, and you spray some water on the glass, and you get these little droplets that refract the image that is on the paper below it. So it's something that you can just set up in your office or anywhere. It's not light painting, it's literally just a couple of flashes that we use to light from the sides so you can get that little droplet of water lit up nicely. But it's a very easy technique, and it's something that anybody can do at any time, and it's fun, and you get some really bold, fun colors. I'm using actually that photo as the screensaver for my phone right now, or the wall, I should say, for my phone. Looks pretty cool in that environment. So there's so many cool things you can do in such a simple little setup. We have a question actually from Michael Lane who's watching. He says, Brian and everyone, what, if anything, has got in your way in trying to grow as a photographer? Let's start with you, Nick. Is there anything that's gotten in your way?
The number one thing I'd have to say is time. I'm, especially now that I'm in school and it's nearing the end of the semester, there's a lot heavier things to do, a lot more things to do. So finding that time to be able to just go outside and start taking pictures as opposed to doing an assignment or studying or something is really difficult to justify as much as I do love photography. But that's probably the number one thing that gets in my way.
That's awesome. Awesome answer. Go ahead, Nick. No, go ahead.
How about you?
Who? Me?
You. Yes.
I'd be right there with Nick, man. I'd talk about time. It's a really thing. Time, transportation for me. There's a lot of places that I would like to go to shoot where, it's not as easy. I can't walk to it, and my wife usually has the car, and we can't drive to Iceland, so.
Fast enough.
I know.
Across the water.
You would like those lizards in Costa Rica that run across the water. That'd be fun. No, I mean, other than that, things that have gotten in my way trying to grow as a photographer, I got to admit, I've been very blessed there hasn't been too much. I've been encouraged at every turn. I've worked with great people, and working at Henry's Camera, I can use gear that most people might not be able to get their hands on. So, yeah, I can't complain with me. What about you, Phil?
I'm not going to go into
That's my
going to a rant on it because I've actually been kicking around the idea of posting something to the community about it. But I'd say myself. Because it's easy to go out and shoot. It's easy to kind of, well, I say it's easy, but to try and come up with ideas and everything. But trying to continue to grow ideas, and you run into this problem anytime you're making something, whether it's you're building something or you are taking pictures or you're writing something. You always get into a point where you become kind of your worst critic, and you look at everything, and everything you do isn't good enough, and it's always you think what you shot last or what you did last might be the best thing you've done, and so the next thing you shoot you will find faults in, and you won't enjoy it. And I never fully thought about something like that, and I listened to a couple podcasts. I know Gabriel and I ramble on about podcasts for a while, but a gentleman by the name of Adam Savage, who watched Discovery Channel when Discovery was cool. He was one of the hosts of Mythbusters.
Yes.
But he is an avid maker of things, and he did a talk at an event called Maker Faire about that, and about kind of self-doubt and that kind of stuff, and it was a really, really interesting thing. And if for anyone who's, I would say, ever, kind of run into a situation like that, go listen to his talk. You can go to, not affiliated whatsoever, you can go to a website called tested.com. On there, there's his Maker Faire talk. It's like an hour, 100% worth listening to. Throw it on the background, and you will feel inspired afterwards. Regardless of what you need to do, you will feel inspired.
Excellent. That's very cool. It kind of leads me to a question that you were going to actually ask Nick. You had mentioned about this. Like, have you ever received any criticism, and how do you deal with that? Maybe Phil, you wrote that question, so maybe you can ask Nick, and from your own perspective, why would you ask the question, and what are you thinking?
Well, every time you do something, you always get feedback from it, and usually, in most situations, your feedback is good. Everyone's going to be usually on board with you and say things are good, but every once in a while, you'll get someone who disagrees. And they might not like the idea you took, they might not like the framing of what you shot, or say the lighting could be better. So if when it comes up and when someone does disagree with your opinion of a picture, how do you work with that? How do you respond to that? How do you take that and grow from it?
Can I give an actual example? Can I show you guys a picture? Like an actual...
Yeah.
Okay.
You should. That's a great idea. Do you know how to do the screen share?
I see the little button. I'm just going to see if I can figure this one out.
So first thing you do is you open up the photo. You double-click on the photo to open it in your background. When you hit screen share, the window opens up. You got it. Shut up, Brian. Okay, good.
Okay. So I went on a little Toronto excursion. I took this picture. It was originally just like a full color picture, but I made it just so that the colors were just the colors in the Toronto sign and the other things were showing up. I thought it was the coolest thing, just for whatever reason. But I showed a couple people. They're like, cool. I showed one person, and they're like, oh, nothing too special about that. And it was just, I don't know how it wasn't difficult to deal with. It was just, it was unexpected, because you spend all this time trying to take the picture and then building the picture and Photoshop in this case, and just doing all the work, and then someone's like, well, it's okay. It's in the end, everything was okay. Like, I didn't cry or die, but it was a bit upsetting, to say the least. I mean, I'm okay with it, but.
So let me ask you this then. I mean, you had somebody give you their opinion.
Yeah.
And you still went ahead and shared the photo.
Oh, yeah.
So their opinion didn't stop how you like your photo, did it? Didn't influence your own feeling about your photo, did it?
No way. See, that's the other thing. You gotta just make sure that, because the last thing you want to happen is one person says something and it makes you just not want to take any more pictures or not want to continue on. That definitely did not happen, but something you want to avoid.
That's awesome. Phil, what do you think of this selective color photo?
I like it. It's an interesting take on the Toronto sign.
I
Which,
gotta. Sorry, go
despite me
ahead.
working in Toronto, I've never seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people take a photo of this sign, and to be frank with you, and don't just think I'm placating here. The bottom line is this is a really cool selective color photo. Compositionally, it's nice. I think it's great the way you have their Toronto in there. Maybe the angle is something that you can fix. The line of the water against the Toronto at the bottom. If that were straight, then that would give you a little bit more symmetry, whether that's good or not. But the way you did your selective color, and I'm not a selective color fan. We talk about that quite a bit, actually. But there's more than one color.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just there's red. I mean, you took the time to make each letter in Toronto a different color, and I think that's really well done.
17 layers.
That's great. First of all, the fact that you're working with layers is impressive, because I'm not even good at working with layers.
I had a school course actually I did last semester. It taught me all about Photoshop.
Oh,
They
nice.
teach this in school.
Yeah, and then in grade 11 I'm doing a photography course on the history of photography, so I got that.
That's awesome.
See? That's fantastic.
Got it all set up, ready to go.
Is photography something that you want to pursue in a more professional aspect? Or?
Well, it's possible. I'm not entirely sure yet, being like the age I am, but I'm definitely going to continue it as a hobby for now. If it turns out to become something more, something different, then for sure I'll go with it. For sure.
Good for you. Good for you, man. Okay, you can keep screen sharing if you want to, but
Yeah, I'll turn off.
yeah, if you just hit screen share, it'll turn it off again. Cool. That's a great shot, dude. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. And yeah, you know what? Don't let people's criticism slow you down with anything in life, anything at all. If there's one thing I've learned is, when you're a younger person, people say stuff all the time that they don't know what they're saying, they don't mean what they're saying, and sometimes they're just angry people saying stupid things. So you've got the perfect approach to life, man. You do what you want to do. You don't give in when somebody gives you opinion that's countering to what you think. I give you a lot of credit.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Keep it up. Phil has another really important question to ask you as well. I've got it highlighted here in the notes. What's that?
Oh no, I'll let you ask that one. I was thinking of the next question.
Oh, really? This is your... Okay, I'll ask the question for you. So Phil wanted to know, how long does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop?
So, a group of engineering students from Purdue University reported that its licking machine, modeled after the human tongue, took an average of 364 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you very much.
Memorized that entire everything.
That was
scripted.
No, not scripted at all. No.
No.
That was
I got on
knowledge.
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 Okay, now back to another real question. This is important. This is really important. How did you decide what camera you wanted to use first? Nikon or Canon?
Can I be completely frank?
No, you can be Nick, actually.
Okay. So,
But be honest with us, please.
the camera came from Air Miles, and that was all they had to offer.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, I'm looking into another camera, and I am looking back into Canon, just because there's something about it. I like the experience. I know you're a Nikon. You're a Nikon person.
It doesn't matter. Honestly, Nick, we joke back and forth all the time about what camera to use. I think bottom line is you have to use what you're comfortable with, and if you use Canon already, stick to Canon. Whether it's Nikon or Canon, it's like saying Pontiac and Chevy. They're the same type of deal. It's just what's comfortable for you, right?
Yeah.
So
I enjoy the Canon for sure. It's definitely something I enjoy using and I'm familiar with. So
cool.
I got that.
When we did our McMichael Art Gallery thing, we went around for a little bit. We took some pictures, and you submitted one picture of that scarecrow.
Oh yes.
Face. And you did the zoom blur.
Mm-hmm.
And you zoomed in while you were shooting, and I used that photo for the header of this event, and I don't have it handy, but I gotta tell you, man, like I know that I took that picture and I did a quick edit on it when we were doing our review and stuff, and that's the same edit that we have now, but I loved that. I thought that was so creative how you were able to do the zoom blur and get the head in focus right in the center. And of course, I'm looking for it now and I can't find it at all. But just a great shot.
Just check the YouTube thumbnail.
Check the YouTube thumbnail, people. It's excellent. Is that the kind of thing that you've been doing more of? Like, do you try Zoom Blur still, or did you stop working with
So I'm doing a bit of that, a bit of the crazy Zoom blurs and the motion and things of that sort. But I find out I'm looking into more macro or like action shots with things moving in it. So like an animal, like a squirrel running across the fence, like I said, or like somebody running across the backyard or doing a flip into the pool or something like of that sort.
That's cool, and I can't wait to see when you start like adding flash and somebody flipping into the pool, and then you flash with a flash while they're flipping, and you get like the slow blur of them moving and the sharpness, and I could see you doing all that.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, we've got another question from Michael. Michael, first of all, thank you for asking questions. For those of you who don't know what the Q&A is, Michael's using it very well. Use the Q&A. Have anything to say to us, just go ahead and post a comment right in the side. Hover your mouse over the window we're in, about the fourth item down on the left side. It'll say Q&A. Click on that. Along the right side, you'll be able to ask your questions. We'll see them pop up, and we'll answer them kind of like this. Photography as an art should be felt, the way you can feel good music or dance. What photo that you've taken, everyone, do you feel the most? What do you think of feeling in photography? Phil, why don't we start that with you?
Okay. And I'm not really sure.
Lots of pictures.
It's kind of like a couple-part question, but we'll start with the first part, and that is what photo I've taken that I think I felt the most or feel the most. I couldn't find it. I was actually trying to dig it up, but I was at the zoo a while ago, and I don't remember when I was there. But it was a picture of a gorilla sitting against the like fence, with its fingers like in the fence, holding onto the fence. And at the time I was like, took a picture of it, brought it home, changed it to black and white, and I don't know why, I liked that picture. It got a kind of a feeling of kind of sadness from it. And apparently this is like the melodramatic podcast. But I got like a feeling of sadness from it. It was the first time I had a solid reaction, I would say, to a picture. But I do think pictures should have some type of feeling involved, whether that is one that you immediately feel or more of just a subconscious idea. It should, cause something. A picture should have a story or should have a feeling behind it.
I agree with that 100%. Nick, have you got something?
So I did this, I was volunteering for this mental health thing, and it was like there was like a stage with a person that was debuting these cool like hat things, and there was hundreds of people there, and I was taking pictures of the speaker as he was like showing them off. So he put him on. He's like, brand new hat, and his hands were up and his mouth was open, like screaming like crazy. And I got a picture of just that moment. It was the coolest thing. It was like you were in the moment. Whenever I see that picture, you're in the moment, and like it's that yeah. I can't find it here. It's on like a different drive or somewhere. I can't find it, but I wish I could.
It's funny. The thing about photography, and you kind of said this earlier, how you're freezing a moment of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny how just that right moment, and it's an amazing photo.
Yeah.
But then you get the wrong moment.
And it's an amazing moment.
And it's like Beyonce looking freaky and weird. So, I mean, this could be misconstrued. I mean, the way you're explaining that kind of photo, it's like this guy's all with his hands up and his mouth open, but it had a different vibe, and it had a feeling that you really connected with.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't mean to say that it looked like Beyonce. I hope that didn't come out that way.
No.
That's really cool. Good answer there, Nick. I guess for myself, I always remember my moments as things that triggered a new style of photography, or something that kind of showed me something that I can do and work towards better consistency with, that caught me off guard the first time. So, for example, you all know I shoot professional wrestling, and there's been some moments where I've made a photo and I look at it afterwards and I'm thinking, man, I just wish I could do that on purpose. One of them was a zoom blur where I was just trying it out and I thought it looked really cool. The next time I went, I tried it out purposefully and I really worked at trying to get the shot, and I ended up with this. And this is the shot of Carter Mason, one of the wrestlers up in Barrie.
Oh, wow.
Super
Wow.
cool guy. But this was a zoom blur with flash that I had been working towards. And when I finally got this, I was like, yes, this is something I've got to add to my repertoire. I've got to do this more often. I've got to work to get more consistency from it. And it's become something that I actually do almost every time I shoot wrestling now. But this is still that shot that gave me that feeling. And I think this is what Michael's asking. Loved it. It was just a fun moment.
That is amazing.
Thank you. It's neat when you get to play around with something and then tweak it and work harder and get better results and then tweak it.
Yeah.
And this is why I love shooting wrestling so much. And some people say you shouldn't shoot things for free, and I do shoot wrestling for free for this group up in Barrie. Barrie Wrestling, Sean Gibson and the guys up there are such cool people, and they give me free reign to try different things. And if my photos don't look good, they don't yell at me. And if they look really good, they give me credit. And it's a nice thing for me as somebody who's still learning photography, as everybody should be, to have that freedom to try new things. And that was one of those things for me that it just gave me that fun freedom and got to try something new. It was really neat. So yeah, good question. Thank you for that question. If anybody else has any questions that they want to share in the Q&A, go for it. We are watching there continuously. Nick, is there anything else that you'd like to add? Like, we've talked a lot about, what got you into it and this and that, but when you first asked us to come on the show, was there something else that you had in mind that you wanted to talk about?
So when I first came onto the show, I wasn't specifically thinking about something like that. Why I wanted to come on. It was mainly because I noticed that at our McMichael thing, at our learning camp thing, knowledge.
You speak good English,
Yes.
English, or
Greater English. Yeah.
greater, yeah. Well, we can't even make a mistake when we speak. Sorry, go ahead.
I just all the students there. I really was there. Well, everybody was having a great time. We were all making great photos, and I'm just here just to inspire younger photographers to really get into it. Even if you don't have any crazy cameras, there's people like there with like a point and shoot, even an iPhone. They were doing some pretty cool things. Yeah, I'm just here to inspire you guys. Knowledge.
Knowledge. Oh, it's funny. I've talked about it before on a previous show. I forget which one. But one of the young girls that was there, the 12-year-old young girl that was there, she had her iPad. Do you remember? And she brought that little plastic cutout, and she made the hologram.
Yeah,
and she was taking pictures of. So cool. I think I had more fun than you guys did during that session. That was just a lot of fun.
No way.
That was great. Okay, so that's great. Nick, dude, thank you so much. Great knowledge, great conversation today. Really appreciate you coming and being on the show. I know that it's a school night for you.
Yes, it's okay though. It's okay. Go to bed right after this.
All right, cool. So we won't keep you too much longer.
No worries.
We've got a few other things to quickly talk about, but before we do that, Phil, do you have anything else that you wanted to ask Nick, or any other questions about getting photography from a younger perspective?
No, I think we went over I think pretty much everything.
Cool.
And I'm sure if I come up with any questions, you can always post them in the community, and if anyone else has questions that we didn't actually get to today, I'm sure if they post them, you'd probably be more than happy to answer a couple of them.
Absolutely. Nick, you're going to watch for any questions coming up in the community. You're still active in there, so thumbs up. All right.
Two thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Okay, so before we move on to the next thing, I just want to remind everybody, I showed a photo from the Joseph LeDuc Masterclass of liquid art. We have booked another one. August 14th, we're going to be running another one of those classes for the folks who saw the photos and made comments afterwards like, oh man, this is so great, I want to do this, and so on. So we are doing another one of those sessions, August 14th. Also, on June 30th, coming much sooner than August 14th, we have our fireworks class. I think this is something you'd get a kick out of, Nick. We have our own fireworks display.
Oh, you gotta use the hat. You gotta use the hat. I remember
Hat
that.
trick. There you go. Awesome,
Yes.
dude. Yeah, we're going to be teaching the hat trick. We're going to be teaching zoom blur. We're going to be teaching focus blur. Focus blur is so cool. If you ever want to see focus blur fireworks, actually, you know what? Focus blur fireworks. You got to see this. Boom, 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 boom. This is a technique that's just so fun to play around with, and we're going to be running through some of this during the session. So they look like sea anemones.
Mm.
Oh my.
When the firework goes off, you change your focus, and it does these really great things to your images. So we're going to be showing how to do all these really cool, fun fireworks photos. And the neat thing about a session like this is we've got close to $1,000 worth of fireworks that we are launching just for photography, specifically for the purpose of photography, timed for when we're ready to launch them. Okay, everybody set. Everybody, oh wait, no, I got to get focused. Okay, we'll wait. And then we start the fireworks again. So we're doing all that. There's a whole barbecue that we're having as well. So it's our summer barbecue / fireworks party thing. Oh, food. Nick, your eyes just popped up. Look at that. Oh, Vero is watching. She says she's really looking forward to that session. Yeah, she's already registered for that one. That's going to be a blast. The fireworks sessions are always fun, providing weather holds out. And we mentioned it earlier, July 10th, the Don Komarechka macro photography class up in Barrie in his championship gardens. We're going to be walking around, some stuff in the studio. Don is just a master of macro, and some of the light refractions that we're going to be doing, the water droplet refractions and hands-on presentations, he's giving away some neat little gifts for people who come to the event as well. It's going to be so much fun. I always have a good time when we do that. And there's going to be pizza for that one, so it's kind of like a barbecue, but not. We're doing a portrait session. This is a new thing that we've just added with Navinoom. On July the 16th, this is going to be 2 sessions in one. So you can register for one or the other or both, and they're going to be only $75 each. And each session is going to be about 4 hours or so, and we're going to have a model. The first session is going to be called Letters to Juliet, which is going to be a take on the Romeo and Juliet with fancy, Juliet-style gown and nice lighting and so on. This is all at the Loft Studio in Newmarket. And then the second session is actually going to be a ballerina dance. So it's the same model. She's a ballerina by trade, and she's going to be doing some posing for us as a ballerina and then separate as Juliet. So 2 completely different lighting styles and background styles, both being done at the Loft. 2 sessions, one after the other. So that's on July 16th. And then, of course, July 24th, we're doing the Birds of Prey. That one is always a blast. Birds of Prey session has sold out consistently, actually, for the past 3 years. Every Birds of Prey session we run sells out. Phil, you were at the last one.
I was.
And just in one sentence, what do you think about our Birds of Prey sessions?
Warm, cold, wet, dry, sunny.
Sentence structure is always a must.
Really
by
good.
the 15-year-old. There you go.
Now, it's good because just like your fireworks sessions, it is set up for shooting. It's not like when you go to a falconry center and it's like, so right now we're going to fly the falcon around for 2 minutes, then we're going to fly something else. It's set up so that when things are happening, where things are going to go to the best of abilities, where things are going to go.
Their own minds.
And it's structured at the point where you can shoot something, learn something, build on it, shoot it, learn it, build it continuously throughout the day. And it's a fantastic way to get better pictures of not only birds, but if you can take pictures of a bird sharp, pretty much any sport you're probably good at.
That's a good point. It does apply for so many things. And you'll be back teaching that one as well?
Yeah.
Excellent. So it'll be you and Ross Chevalier helping us out with that one. And that's about it for upcoming sessions. I mean, there's a lot more.
Hold up.
What?
Do I see food?
Oh, yes.
Food photography?
Yeah, we were talking about that before. You are a little cook, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
All right, tell me what you're thinking. What's going on?
I'm gonna have to find money, and I'm going to have to do this.
Okay, so Nick found the Navinoom food photography class. Navi does the food photography for quite a few different things. She actually shoots for Look Local magazine, doing all their food for their recipe of the month and so on. She's just a brilliant food photographer, and she's also an educator by trade, as you experienced through the portrait session that we did, the Navinoom Masterclass. this food photography thing, that's August 28th, I believe, and that's just going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So, no, that's cool. I'm glad you brought that up, Nick. Very cool. Okay, I want to remind folks about the current photo challenge. By the way, I updated the lists for the winners wall, and currently we have our 3 weekly. What is that? What do we call that? It's not bi-weekly. It's not weekly. It's 3 weekly.
Tri-weekly.
Tri-weekly. Yeah. We have a tri-weekly photo challenge. Thank you, guys. The current leaders in this tri-weekly photo challenge. Now, by the way, we're not saying you're better or worse than other people. We have points, and at each time we give a photo review, we issue you points based on, you know, what we determine is the best photo compositionally, by lighting, story, and so on. So the current point leaders, in first place is Christine Small with 8 points. In second place, tied, is Taylor and Blake Zimmerman. Both have 6 points. And then in third place, tied, is Stephen Cornfield and our buddy Émile Constantin, who submitted a photo, and he's got 2 points as well. So, guys, we're only 2 out of 4 weeks into, or challenges into this current quarter. There are still 2 more quarters to go, which means that it's anybody's ball game as far as who can win the points and come out on top. And of course, the one who comes out on top with the most points at the end of this quarter is going to get a $350 Daytripper Photo gift certificate toward any day trip you want to come on. It's going to be, I mean, come on, how good is that? Nick, you'd be able to do the food photography thing.
Input cheering sound.
That's so funny that you have to say input cheering sound. You know, you got it right there. You know, it's all good. And yeah, so that's good. That's just great. So keep up the good work, everybody. Keep on submitting your photos for our photo challenges. The current challenge is water. There you are. Nick's got his water bottle. There's his photo. We're going to do a screen capture of the screen right now, and there's Nick's water photo.
There we go.
So get your photos in for water. You could do the things like we did with the Joseph Leduc liquid art session, whether it was dropping fruit or vegetables, and he used green peppers because they have air inside and they float back up to the surface well, smashing them into water. You can do oil spots in liquid. You can do anything you want to do. There's so many different things you can do with water. We can't wait to see what you guys have in mind. And of course, like every show, we leave you with a quote of the week. And it's funny because this quote kind of goes directly to what you were doing, Nick. And when you were telling me about how you are and the way you see photography, it directly relates to this quote.
Perfect.
Which is perfect. And I'm very impressed. The quote is from a gentleman that you may or may not know. His name is Orson Welles. Have you heard that name before? Orson Welles, look it up. He's a big dude.
I think he was actually kind of short.
He was short, but he's a big dude.
He's a popular dude.
He's very, very awesome. He says, "I don't believe in learning from other people's pictures. I think you should learn from your own interior vision of things and discover, as I say, innocently, as though there had never been anybody."
Knowledge.
You're awesome, dude. Yeah, it's true though. I mean, think about it. Like, how many of us go through life day in and day out needing inspiration and needing people to, you know, show us photos so we can be inspired to make better photos, when really all you have to do is think. What do you think? What do you see? How do you envision a photo? What can you visualize, and therefore can you make that photo? That's what's most important, and that's what we try and encourage every week with the Daytripper Photo Show. Both of you guys, thank you so much for being on the show this week. Phil, as always, you're the man, buddy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Nick, come on. You're awesome.
Brian, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's been the best Wednesday since the past couple of weeks.
It's been the best Wednesday in at least 3 Wednesdays.
Yeah, for sure.
At least. That's awesome. All right, guys, we're going to sign out and say goodbye. If anybody has anything else that they'd like to ask us, as Phil mentioned earlier, go ahead and post it in the Daytripper Photo community. If you have any questions for me, tag me in it. If you have questions for Phil, tag him. If you have questions for Nick, tag Nick. And, dude, what's up with that Nick laugh? That's not your name.
It's like the beginning part of my last name.
So if anybody needs to tag you, it's plus NICKLAF. Very cool. All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.